episode of Turtle Wandering. Today's Sunday, and decided that instead of going to a trail race that I had been thinking about, I would just kind of do something a little bit different, and so I'm hiking a section of the Appalachian Trail today, meeting up with Timothy, who is somebody I met through the Afros in Nature group, and bit of another, kindred spirit, which is pretty cool. Young guy in the area that does some IT work, but is an avid cyclist and hiker. And so we're gonna meet up and do a section that's guaranteed to have some absolutely beautiful views and give me a nice bit of respite, because it was a incredibly long week from work, and it was also my first week back to doing some stuff in the office. And certainly that transition was a little bit different than what I expected, a little bit more challenging, and I long suspected that was going to be the issue, but didn't expect for it to smack me quite that hard. So, kind of taking the weekend to think about that, and, what are the things that I need to do to kind of get things in order and get them regulated the way I need to be, so that, as I start to maybe go to the office a little bit more often, things feel a little bit better, and just the transition just overall just feels much better, much smoother. So let's see how the day goes. Yeah, I used to take young male identifying kids out hiking and stuff like that out of our camp. And when I would do that, the one time we were coming back from Bear Rock, and there was a big boy out there. And, of course, you end up with two camps of kids. There's the ones that are like, "Oh, can I touch it, miss?" "No, you can't. No. And then there's the other group that was with me that they're like, "So you're going to tell us when it's safe, right?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." I don't know. I want to take a look, though, if you don't mind. Yeah, I would imagine, with it being the AT, and yeah, so nice little setup there.
Interesting, because there's no water
Source.
section. You have to go, I think, 2 miles past Blue Mountain Resort, and there's a spring about a mile south of the track.
Might be, yeah.
But I know I've seen there people leaving like 5-gallon jugs of water at the trailheads.
Yeah. I know I've seen a bunch of groups recently that have been setting up like all-day trail magic days, which is super cool.
I ran into one of those last summer up on Blue Mountain. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So why does one hike uphill? Basically to be able to see stuff like that. And this is only even one of the views that we're going to see, so super stoked to see what the rest of the hike's going to look like for sure. But yeah, this is definitely some gorgeous stuff around me. So is there a difference between a low bush and some other type of...
Low bush and high bush. Those things that are in the grocery store are high bush, and they're much bigger. But I find them to be more watery and less full of flavor. So growing up in Maine, basically all we had was low bush. And every July, August, we would buy 20 pounds of blueberries.
Mm-hmm.
We would save 10 pounds of them, 5 pounds of them, and eat them, make all sorts of blueberry dishes. And
Alright, well I guess I need to try a couple of these then. Since you say they're so good.
oh, dragonfly over here. It was also blue.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, those do have a good flavor to them. And it's slightly different than the ones you get in the grocery store.
Yeah, the ones you get in the grocery store are 3 or 4 times bigger too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That is not as appealing to me.
Right. Yeah, bigger's not always better. I found that with fruit in general.
Yeah.
Like the strawberries, if you get the small ones, they're more like your thumb. They're just primo. But when you get those big monster ones, you're like, there's nothing.
It looks
on
like a
this.
strawberry.
Yeah, it looks like a strawberry, but if I have to add sugar to my strawberries, I've kind of eliminated the point. And,
I know there was a fire up in the Delaware Water Gap, I think 2 summers ago.
yeah, this was a number of years ago, so it's starting to coming back to life, which I think that's beautiful too, is just how nature starts to come back to life. I think about when I was in Hawaii and the areas where it was a lot of volcano rock because they'd had eruptions that had burned off everything.
Yeah.
But then you'd see these beautiful plants and stuff that would just, yeah, that would just come out of the volcanic rock, and you're just like, that's just gorgeous. Yeah, this is a great place to spend the night. Wake up in the morning to this view. Whew.
And you're not worried about widowmakers right here either.
Nope. Yeah. Well, so this was the first. I went into the office 2 days this week to do some stuff, and that was the first time that I had done that in 15 months. And it astounded even me how quickly I fell back into bad patterns of staying there way too long, and then because I was tired, making lazy choices for dinner. And then
as I've been seeing more people this last 2 weeks, I feel like I've gotten lazy with food choices as well.
You know, and then got home, and because I was tired, I'm like, okay, I'll just sit down for 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes turns into an hour. And so then instead of going out and, you know, doing a typical 1 to 2 hour walk, okay, now I guess I better get in 20 minutes before it's too dark out. You know, and it's like, I've worked so hard to not do that in the last year. And so the idea of going back to it, I'm just like, ugh. But, you know, as I've said before, then it's like me not being able to find moderation. So now I'm like, okay, so how do I find that moderation, you know, that kind of happy medium between what needs to get done in my life and what I want to do, you know, and kind of fitting it all in and still staying sane and well hydrated, moderately rested, you know, all of that stuff.
Yeah. It feels hard to try and get it all done, and also get nothing done when you need to.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting because it's like, I never really fully understood the benefits of working from home until I started to do it. And I mean, one thing I discovered is that I work just as much, but I work differently. And there's a huge difference about, like, if I'm at home and I'm done, I close the laptop, and because I'm already home, I just walk out the door.
Yep.
You know, I gear up and I'm out the door.
And so I'd never made chicken stock in my new apartment. And that's just something that you just leave on the stove for like 8 hours.
Yep.
And working from home, you can do that, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, where it's like, oh yeah, I can do that now. If
Right.
I want to make.
Yeah, I've tended not to do it a lot. I did it a few times when I was away from home, and the recipes ended up sometimes getting messed up. But what I would do is, like, I make my own marinara sauce,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a crock pot recipe. So I actually put it on right when I go to bed, and so then it cooks all night. And I do the same thing with my chili. I'll get it all in, and I'll put it in right before I go to bed. And the reason I like doing that is, you know how like soups and chilies and some of that stuff are actually better the next day?
And they sit.
When they sit, exactly. So it's like it cooks overnight. First of all, you wake up, your house smells amazing. But then I take it out and I put it in the fridge. And so then it's doing that sitting and marinating and becoming one magic.
Like commingling.
Yes. And it's doing that magic while I'm at work. And then by the time it's time to eat dinner, it's like perfect and beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I love doing that. But again, it's like, even with the crock pot, you know, there's a lot of recipes that are more like 4 hours. And so you can't do those if you're going to be away at work.
But if you just started at lunchtime.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. you know, or
The other thing with like those 10-minute walks, like I didn't take walks at work compared like when I was in the office compared to now, because now it's like a 10-minute walk around the neighborhood in Bethlehem.
right.
Versus at work, it would be a 10-minute walk in an industrial park, which is not a good time.
See, at least at my office we do have a walking path, so that's nice. A lot of times I would grab like a coworker and be like, hey, let's go take a walk. Although even that'll be different now, because the first person I used to do that with was like my work bestie, and she was laid off like 2 years ago, and then the other person that I used to walk with just left the organization, so my two best walking buddies are gone now. You know, again, it's almost having to build a new community.
Yes.
With, I think the ultimate of the you need an intervention quick was Thursday. I was driving home, and all of a sudden I was like, I'm craving donuts. Hey Google, what time is Duck Donuts open till? And I ended up eating 4.5 donuts for dinner. Like, no. I mean, not that that's the worst thing in the world to do once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
And I haven't eaten one of their donuts in over 2 years. You know, and I don't believe in the idea of good foods and bad foods. But by the same token, if I hadn't been so tired, would I have maybe only eaten 2? And then maybe saved 2 for like the next day or something. I don't know. But again, it's just kind of, you know, find that balance. And you know, when you know you have stuff in the house, when you know you have things prepped, you just make better choices, because then you're not just scrambling for whatever's quick and easy. So I'm curious, what made you start hiking with sandals as opposed to shoes?
I really wanted, so right before this pandemic hit, I was planning on a vacation with some friends to Sedona in Arizona.
Yep.
It was our big aspiration to do this 14-mile segment that was hiking through a riverbed.
Okay.
So I had bought these sandals primarily to be able to do riverbed hiking, where I was going to be in and out of water at all times.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I stuck with it, and it works pretty well for me.
You haven't run into any problems of like scraping the top of your feet or anything on like more technical trails or anything?
Not overly, not so far. Yeah, not really. The biggest issue is small pebbles getting into your shoes.
Okay.
And then you do have to have fairly strong arches, which thankfully I have. As with all hiking shoes that have zero drop, meaning there's no height difference between your heel and your toes, it works better if you have a certain foot shape. And I have just the right pronounced arch that allows to have that be comfortable.
All right, that was absolutely amazing. Super sore, super tired, but it was a great time with Timothy. Loved getting to know him a little bit better, and looking forward to doing a bunch of stuff in the future with him. And so now the next part of balance is the adulting part of the program, because while turtles like to wander, turtles also need to take care of things like eating and laundry and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is, conveniently on the way home, there is a grocery store, so I'm going to swing by Giant and grab some stuff so I can do some food prep for the week, which ideally, if I have some meals kind of already set, or at least pieces of them set up, that'll make things a little bit easier. I'm not a huge crazy food prep person. I know like some folks like to cook, like they'll do a huge amount of cooking and then they'll portion it out throughout the week, and that is a guaranteed way for me personally to end up with a lot of stuff that ends up in the trash can. So that doesn't work well for me. I do like though some what I think of as batch cooking. So it's more pieces and ingredients, and then I can kind of mix and match those. So we have some members of Afros that are involved with like some CSA and farming type work. And so I was blessed with a huge amount of yellow squash. So what I'm thinking about is, what are a couple ways that maybe I can cook some of that up tonight so that I can infuse some more vegetables throughout the week. Because usually putting together like a protein, that's easy. But where I get lazy sometimes is with my vegetables. So I figure if I can take some time and, maybe roast some, saute some in the wok, maybe one or two other things that are pretty easy and quick to do, that'll make life a lot easier for the week. So gonna do that and then wrap it all up for the day. All right, back home and ready to kind of relax, clean up, get some of this food taken care of, and get some things prepped for the week. Certainly the body is tired, but the mind feels pretty good having spent that time outside. And, the quest for some semblance of balance of work and wellness continues. So thanks again for watching. Appreciate you all, and see you in the next one. Later, Terrapins.